The reflection, it was just a mirror. That's what Jenna kept telling herself. A simple antique mirror she found at an estate sale. The house was ancient, the kind that smelled of dust and forgotten things. The estate's owner had died months ago, and everything was being sold off. Jenna wasn't interested in the heavy furniture or the eerie oil paintings of unsmiling strangers. But the mirror, it caught her eye. Its frame was bronze, tarnished with age, carved with twisting vines. If she stared too long, the vines almost looked like they were moving, curling into faces, skeptical eyes, sneering mouths. The glass itself was warped, making reflections seem just a little off. She should have left it there, but it was cheap. Too cheap. And she needed something for the empty wall in her hallway. So she bought it. The first signs. At first, the mirror was just another object in her apartment. It hung in the hallway, opposite her bedroom door. It fit. It belonged. Until it didn't. Jenna started noticing small things, the way she felt a tug in her chest whenever she walked past it, like something was watching her. How the hallway seemed colder at night. Then one evening, she caught something strange. She had just come home from work, tired, tossing her keys on the counter. As she walked past the mirror, she glanced at her reflection, and it was looking at her. Not just a casual, natural glance. Number It was watching. She froze. Her real body had already turned away, walking toward the kitchen, but in the mirror she swore, just for a second. Her reflection stayed still, facing her, staring. Her stomach twisted. She whipped back to look, but it was normal again. Just her reflection mirroring her movements as it should. Maybe she was imagining things. Maybe she was just exhausted. But that night she slept with her door shut. The smile days passed. The feeling didn't go away. If anything, it got worse. She avoided looking at the mirror directly, but sometimes, just out of the corner of her eye, she swore she saw something. A flicker. A slight movement that wasn't hers. Then came the smile. It was late. Past midnight. Jenna had woken up to get a glass of water. As she passed the mirror, she made the mistake of looking. Her reflection was smiling. Not a soft, sleepy smile. Not an accidental expression. A wide, unnatural grin. Her own face stretched in a way it never should. Her teeth just a little too sharp. Her eyes too dark, too deep. Jenna stumbled back, slamming into the opposite wall. Her heart pounded. Her real mouth was open in a silent scream, but the reflection just kept smiling. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, it was gone. Her reflection was normal again. Her breath came in ragged gasps. She squeezed her eyes shut. When she opened them, nothing. Just her. The mirror was playing tricks on her. It had to be. But she didn't sleep that night. The whispering. The next morning, Jenna covered the mirror with a sheet. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. That night, something woke her up. A whisper. It was faint, distant, like a voice carried on the wind. She held her breath, straining to listen. It was coming from the hallway, from behind the sheet. She sat up in bed, pulse hammering. The whispering didn't stop. It was soft, rhythmic. Not words exactly, but something close. Something almost human. Then, scratching. A slow, deliberate sound, like nails dragging against glass. Jenna shot out of bed and flipped on every light in the apartment. The whispering stopped immediately. She walked toward the hallway. The sheet was still there. But now, it had fallen into place over something inside the mirror. A shape. A faint human outline pressed against the fabric from the other side. Jenna tore the sheet down and threw the mirror out. She dragged it down 3 flights of stairs, out into the alley, and left it there, face down on the pavement. It was gone. Finally, the return. That night she slept soundly. No whispers, no scratching, until 3:07 a.m. A creak. Jenna stirred, half awake. Another creak. Closer this time. Her eyes fluttered open. The room was dim, bathed in faint blue light from the window. And then, her breath caught. The mirror was back, standing perfectly upright at the end of her hallway. She couldn't breathe, couldn't move. It was impossible. She had thrown it away. And yet, here it was. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Slowly, shakily, she reached for her phone. It was dead. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to move. Her bare feet touched the cold floor as she stepped toward the hallway. The mirror's surface was dark, too dark, like the reflection wasn't just warped, but wrong. And then, the reflection moved. Jenna wasn't moving. She was standing still. But her reflection? It took a step forward. Her breath hitched. Another step. The glass rippled like the surface of a lake. Then, a hand shot out, pale, wrong, fingers too long. It grabbed Jenna's wrist, cold, strong, unnatural. She screamed. It yanked her forward. The glass swallowed her whole. Aftermath. Days passed, then weeks. When her landlord finally entered the apartment, he found everything as it was. No signs of a struggle. Jenna was simply gone. But the mirror remained. It hung on the wall, pristine, untouched. And if you looked closely, really closely, you could see something in the glass. Not just a reflection. Something else. Something trapped. Something waiting. The new tenant. Months later, the apartment was rented out again. The new tenant, Claire, noticed the mirror immediately. It was beautiful, antique, with an ornate bronze frame. She thought it added character to the place. She smiled at her reflection, and the reflection smiled back. A little too wide, a little too long. But Claire didn't notice. Not yet. She would, eventually, because the mirror was patient and hungry, just like it had been with Jenna, and like it would be for the next, and the next, till someone realized it wasn't just a mirror, it was a door, and it never stayed closed for long.